research. So just, if he doesn't mind, I will just share with you what I was able to glean off of social media. Former senator, former senior credit analyst at Republic Bank, former personal assistant to the Director of African Operations at Republic Bank in Ghana, Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. Former senior macroeconomic research assistant, fiscal policy research unit at the Division of Finance, Trade, Math and Economics at Elizabeth's College, Scarborough, Tobago. And he also worked at the Cooperative Credit Union League of Trinidad and Tobago. So, most extensive resume.
When I listen to the resume running along, I say, I work plenty places. Man.
Yeah, but.
So, you know, it's I've been watching your program and I feel that you focus a lot on things that speak to the deeper issues that affect people.
Right.
You know? And I could start with local economic development because we just had the local government election.
What were your thoughts on the results?
On the results, well, I mean, if we were to say the incumbent, the incumbent, it's always a victory. The incumbent retains their position.
Right.
And I think that's the most I can say at that point. I mean, there are many permutations.
Yes.
And there are many other views against that.
Right.
But it is the convention that if the status quo remains the same, the incumbent was the beneficiary. So, but notwithstanding that, as I say in Nigeria, because I was in West Africa for 3 years.
Right.
Election done, no campaign. It's time to work.
Yeah.
So local economic development is the key, and you see the government has changed a lot of the, probably all the, I think so. Point Fortin, San Fernando, Arima,
yes,
Tinapuna,
Diego Martin,
Port of Spain, and Lavantel. Yeah, so all the leaders at the top of the regional corporations. So I guess we thank those who served before, and those that are coming in. It speaks to the fact that we're making a change. What is the reform about? Local economic development in every corporation is the tip of the spear in terms of how do you generate extra revenue in the corporation? How do you create additional jobs? A lot of them focus on tourism. A lot of them try to create these food parks and those kinds of things. But within the confines, the fact is that just to get a project approved, they have to send it up through the winding road to the council, and then the council sends it up to the CEO, to the project division in the ministry, and then they have something to say about a region in the country that they really don't know about half of the time. And then it finds its way back down, and they tell you know what, why don't you change this part of the proposal? Right. So, and I worked in the Tobago House of Assembly, as my long CV pointed to, as an economist in the Division of Finance. Right. And in the Division of Finance, what we were doing was checking projects. Ovelana was the chief secretary at the time, and Anson London, later Anson London was the secretary of Finance, Dr. London. And we would check we would do the monitoring and evaluation component of the projects that were strategic projects for the THA. So not all, just the key ones. And then, well, we created, my job was to create a bulletin on inflation. So calculated inflation for Tobago and listening to the taxi and going to work and hearing people, you know, taking it in because it was a first at the time. But the projects part and the implementation, the monitoring, it was instructive in that was done in Tobago. That was not done in Port of Spain. Right. So, but in the regions in Trinidad, the monitoring and evaluation and the approvals and all those things are done in Port of Spain, not in the corporations themselves. So now with local government reform, of course, it's not going to be a switch, a flip, and then everything changes. It's not Instagram. That only happens there. You know, in real life, because we say social media is not a real place. But in real life, it takes a while, and there would have been local government practitioners that would have done studies, whether they did MBA and so on, either the practitioners or the staff themselves in the different municipal corporations. As part of the MBA thesis, they would have studied how to improve and how to respond to local government, the regulations and the law that was coming down. So now we will see, it now will be the true test of it. I saw the Minister of Local Government saying that it's an experiment. You know, he was using some legalese before and after. I'm an economist, so I don't want to go beyond that word. But in that, it's something that has to be tested. And as it is tested, adjustments will be made. And a simple example was that case in Tobago, when I was calculating inflation, the CSO had just came to Tobago. It was around mid-2000s. It was in mid-2005, 2006, I went to Tobago. And the CSO was just setting up an office, and our unit was freshly created. And it was as a result of the need to deepen Tobago's participation in the economy and at the level of the THA in terms of understanding the economy. And it was also done in tandem with the Vision 2020 of late Patrick Manning at the time. So in Trinidad now, it's like you have a crystal ball. You went through certain processes in Tobago. It is not that easy to separate regions in Trinidad from Port of Spain. Because I can live in Point Fortin and enjoy Port of Spain. I could live in Point Fortin and enjoy San Fernando. So I live in Point Fortin, but I went to Presentation College. So I was enjoying San Fernando, the investment in San Fernando. At the same time, my brother would go and play tennis in I think it was somewhere in El Dorado, somewhere in North at that time. And the reality is, you can live in any part of Trinidad and on the same day reach back home. You'll have some difficulty if you're going from Icacos to Toco, but apart from that, you could do that. But you can't do that with ease in Tobago. Freedom of movement is affected by the fact that you have to go through the air bridge or sea bridge. In Trinidad, you could jump in a car, a bus, a maxi, a bicycle, and you could get to your destination. So the difference with Trinidad is that you'll have to determine how far we can go. If Tobago is on one end of the continuum, in terms of autonomy, in terms of control over things, in terms of research base, in terms of having high-level jobs and that kind of thing, the municipal corporations in Trinidad can't be that far because it is not that practical. All right. So the test will be in the coming months and years, because I'm talking about 2006 in the THA, calculating inflation. So it will take some time, but at least we are on the right path, you know. And I think when you consider what persons said in their moments of honesty, you know that local government reform is something that everyone welcomes. So I don't think we should as a country worry too much about platform rhetoric. Local government is something that is welcomed, and it's an excellent initiative by the government, and it's important that the Prime Minister himself is pushing it, because just as with everything that happened in the phases of development of the country, whether it's from the days of Eric Williams with the industrialization program, whether it's in the days of Patrick Manning with the changes made to Port of Spain. I was part of that. You're working in a building rented one day, the next day moved to a government building that the taxpayer owns, you know, because I served in the public service for some time. So and that came with the developments as part of Vision 2020.
How critical do you think that is as part of the development trust, that the government is utilizing space that the state owns as opposed to renting?
I think it allows the country to put the resources to the most productive use. And I remember when the government was building it out, there was a lot of debate at the university. All right. Because of course, as economists and students of economics, that will be all they'll be focused on. The classes will stop when the budget happens. You just listen to the budget.
Yeah.
That's a class for the day. So persons were talking about the government investing, the critics of it were saying that the government is investing in non-productive infrastructure, buildings. But what they weren't looking at, and they say that they should invest in more factories and these kinds of things. But what they were not looking at is the commitment that the government has in terms of rental and outfitting of private property, which is a standalone feature that you have to pay. You can't reduce that. That never goes down.
Right.
It only goes up.
Yeah.
And by making this significant capital investment, you free up down the road. So it's like you're taking sacrifices, like me looking to buy land and build a house now so that in 10 years' time, I don't need to pay rent.
Right.
So it would be seen as a very difficult measure when you're doing it.
Right.
Because you have to drink bush tea at that time. But you can't be drinking whatever they sell in the expensive section in the supermarket.
Right.
But once you finish that phase, life becomes a little more manageable. Look now, the courts are there, where the parliament was.
Correct, yeah.
I remember going to breakfast shed, and the Femme du Chalet is the fancy name that they have now, of course. Femme du Chalet, woman of the kitchen. But I can't what the chalet means.
Yeah.
But I know femme is woman. Do is off. My wife is French speaking, so I know up to that part. I'm not sure the chalet. I have to check Google Translate for that one. But when I was at breakfast shed, I saw a lot of people coming to eat lunch, and I said, how come so much conventions? You know, it's court.
Right.
So I was impressed that you turn around from using the facility for parliament to use it for court in the international waterfront. So I think that was a good thing.
But I imagine that would have been an inadvertent, I don't want to say consequence, but as a result of that decision, because I don't think it would have featured prominently in the decision to put the court say that, hey, this is a spill-off benefit that the women of this facility or would be able to.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's sustaining jobs as well.
Right.
And it's much. The reality is, and then so for example, persons will look at the spend on the parliament. But had the spend on the parliament not happened, on the Red House, you wouldn't have access to the precincts that the parliament is occupying in the waterfront.
Yeah.
So government spending on infrastructure to house public servants is necessary, and it's commendable that we. So now the private sector person has to put their property to productive use, and that can only benefit the country because now they have to put their heads together and say, okay, we're not going to get government rent again. Forget it. That dead. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
How are we going to make this building pay for itself? Still have a mortgage on it, possibly, many of them. Then now they'll have to look for an investment opportunity or an investor or a partner.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll find something to generate revenue, create jobs, and build the base of the economy. But as talking about base of the economy, one of the main campaigns that I have on a personal level, I do a lot of business training. Much of it is pro bono, and at times when persons have funds, I would allow them to pay me.
Right.
But for example, there's a group in Point Fortin I do some training with, and in La Brea, some young people, and then my band that I play 12 beats with in Marabella.
Oh, you're a fan man?
Yes. Well, I learned the Panama tune, and when I was in Ghana, I tried to play the national anthem, and I was okay, but I wasn't Bugsy. Right. You know, so I know that I could play in an orchestra, and that's about it. So I'm not. I wouldn't promote myself as an exponent of the art form, but the reality is the opportunity. There are many persons who are interested, but they are not pushed. So when I talk to the young people and ask them, okay, how much of you all would want to do business? Now there's one program in La Brea, they're ready because the guy he's coaching them, he have them on a program. Right. looking at land and land from the parents and so on, and the farming. Some have goats, rabbits. But that is exceptional. That's not the rule. The rule is not that young people are involved in business or involved in farming, right? Because farming is a form of business, right? The rule is we are trained to get a job and get a house and retire, basically.
Yeah.
That's job, house, retire.
And you have your
somewhere in between there,
you
make a family.
Right.
So so that's the kind of model, but that model doesn't necessarily enrich a society. So the model that makes that helps the society better is where families become repositories of wealth.
Yeah.
I remember, well, we had the modern thing of Richard Porter and Robert Kiyosaki and those things, but do you have, I was listening to the richest man in Babylon, and in it had the laws, the 5 laws of gold.
Right.
But before it reached there, the advisors explained to the king that, because some kings in those times felt it was better to keep the subjects poor so that they'll be subservient.
Right.
But the king was explaining to the king that it is better to have a wealthier society because that creates a stronger basis for your state. So, but how that happens in a modern context is that individuals and families have to decide, okay, we will try a part of our savings or part of our sweat equity if you don't have any savings in business. Because there are some businesses you can do if you're just entrepreneurial enough. Many persons who do these pop-up markets do it without $1 to the name. They would go to people who want to have want to sell stuff. They would have a network of vendors that trust them. Right. And then they will get a location, and the network of vendors will pay a certain amount, and they will use that to go and rent the tables and chairs and that kind of thing, and do marketing. And once the location is good enough, people will at least cover the cost of the table and something extra, and they might get some extra business. Persons who want to do a barbecue, most barbecues start with $0. You say, okay, you want to do a barbecue, the expense that you really have to put out is the cost to print the tickets, which a lot of times, if you're doing a barbecue, sometimes the printer will allow you to take it. Right. There's just a few tickets here, a few cards you're printing, 100 tickets. And you're writing numbers and then you go on and sell. So if the person's enterprising enough and the opportunity arises, they just need to use their God-given talent to generate revenue. Online changes the game because you can create web-based platforms with stores built in the background and supplying products globally. But of course, the learning curve for that may have missed some of the persons born in the 80s, like myself. But it will be very apparent to the young people. Yes. So the opportunities are there. It's just to focus on it. And it's like there are persons who in their family they may have done business. Before anybody in a family does business, let's say no one in the family is doing business, as I was saying before. If one person tries and they have some measure of success, they know how to get rich. Yeah. They try to sell something and it was sold. Okay, they're making money. Right. Let's try to buy someone. Then some other members of the family might decide, you know what? I have some considerable savings. I don't have the time to do this thing. I'm busy, but I like what you're doing. I will partner with you on it. I don't want to be part of the business. I just want to get out money without interest. Some of them will actually participate in the business. What you find is in families where persons are doing business, you typically find more people over time entering business and retaining more wealth in the family. And in a community where that happens as a trend, you build a sense of wealth and wealth creation. Right. So then, where's the next step? The government has these programs for young people, 1,000 young people to get grants. But you also have, but they need to be prepared. They don't want you come and get it 20,000. 20,000 could finish tomorrow. Yeah. you buy the equipment, you buy this, you buy that. No sale, business done. So the young people who benefit from those grants should be prepared. I'll give a simple example. Let's say you're making pepper sauce. How much equipment really would you need to make pepper sauce in a way that is public health approved? Not much, you know. The main thing would be the location you're making it at. If you're using your grandmother's kitchen, as you like to say, you might need to do some retrofitting. If you don't have that facility, you may be able to pay a small day rate in a kitchen that already has public health approval.
Right.
So the young person who getting into it, they could cut their overhead costs by using these other avenues. It's like a shortcut, but a good shortcut.
Yeah.
Another people say the shortcut is a long cut. So not a bad shortcut. It's a good shortcut. You use other facilities that people already have. So it's like you go to the people, a caterer, and use their kitchen as a kind of incubator for you.
Right.
But on the off days that they don't have, and you pay them for it, and maybe use some of their equipment, you get your thing packaged, you get proper labeling, and you have companies providing industrial costs and companies providing or you could use somebody in your community. The prices might be a little higher, but the dollar circulates.
Right.
You know, and you slap the label on, and you put it in neighborhood supermarkets. If you're serious enough, then you go to a distributor. A distributor can now take the product from you. They like what you're producing, and distribute it across the country. Now, I'm saying all this to say that the opportunities are present, but we need persons who are so minded. In our country, if somebody wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a footballer, one time. If you point, carry by hippo. If you're on the road, carry by and cock or whoever else play football.
Right.
If somebody croak in church and it's something like they could sing, they could hold the note for 1, 2, 3 seconds. They carry them by Lois Lewis in point. If you're up there, carry them by Tambu, but carry them by Carl Weaver Henderson. If somebody wants to sell, we don't carry them by a neighborhood businessman.
Right.
As a mentor.
Yeah.
We just say, we're trying there, boy, you sure about that?
Yes.
And the long list of negatives.
Yeah.
So what my encouragement to Trinidad and Tobago is find that one entrepreneur in your family. In every family, there's one person, and in your line of business, you know that there's always somebody who is interested in creating and building wealth.
Yeah.
They may not be interested in doing business, but they might be interested in creating wealth.
Right.
Encourage that person who's interested in creating wealth to do business. If they don't like active business, when they're looking to buy a car, tell them instead of going for the SUV, what about buying a piece of land and seeing what you could do with it? Buy a vehicle that's a little more modest, and if they have no money at all and they're under 35, let them find themselves in front of a computer or on the phone, a young people's phone, and go on Netco's website and apply. And find themselves at the Ministry of Development and National Service and see what programs, if you're young and you know about it, what programs they can try to get involved in and engaged in. Because there are opportunities, and we need the young people to come forward and take them up. Now, a mentorship program is necessary. And I think in every family it's necessary to look for the entrepreneur. We look for the person who could be the singer, the police,
lawyer, and the doctor. Yeah.
Sometimes not even the doctor so much, we need to look for more doctors in the families. But we look around, but we don't look for who could be the business person.
Right.
And we have some sayings that I don't want to repeat, but that don't help about money and so on.
Yeah.
So we need to be more practical about what are the purposes and uses of funds and money, and and creation of wealth. Because then when you hide from understanding money, a lot of these charlatans will come and sell you a get-rich-quick scheme or a money scheme that you think is making sense, but in the reality, well, you know, and the problem is you would try to explain to people that this is actually a Ponzi scheme, or this is not a way to generate. For example, I'll give you a simple example: the forex trading. There are persons who would generate revenue from it.
Yeah.
But there are persons who may not necessarily be best suited for that. So you need to go through training. You need to understand how the market works. So there are those who train and go well in the forex trading. And there are those who I'm not sure if they themselves are trained in the first instance. So these things are necessary because money management, if people understood money better, it's harder to sell. You can't go to a man who understands money and sell them something that's fake. He'll just watch you. He'll humor you, but you're not going to bite. So we need people to be more knowledgeable about how money works. Another thing we like to say
before you go there, we'll go to a quick break.
Come through.
Yes. So we go to break first for the evening, folks, but we will be right back and we continue discussion with Tahaka OBIKA. But this evening, yes, we're moving away. Well, we might find a way to squeeze in the politics a little bit, but the focus is really on economics and building business. So you don't want to miss this. Stay locked. We'll be right back.
Skills? I mastered my hairdressing skill. I can't stop here. My main goal is to master my reading skill. I am skilled and I am alta skilled.
My skill is playing the African drum, but I intend to improve and exceed. I am skilled and I am alta skilled.
Are you 16 or over? Add reading and writing to your skills with free alta classes. Sign up at Nalis Libraries on September 5th and 6th or call 708-1990.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Realtor Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Said, Managing Director of Realtor Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors, roti makers. Try Chic Leisha high-quality, unbleached, bromate-free, all-purpose and whole wheat flour. Bleached flour and bromate flour is treated with chemicals that can cause cancer, and this is banned in Europe and many other countries. Chic Leisha flour offers a healthier option, being that it's unbleached and bromate-free. It also has a finer grain and a softer texture, lower priced and conveniently packed in 2 pound, 2 kg, 10 kg, and 25 kg bags. Available at groceries and supermarkets. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Chic Leisha Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit them at Warrenville, Canoopia. Chic Leisha Limited. Quality you can trust.
The Solid Agency, the standard for artist management and development. Booking for an exclusive roster of the region's top-rated entertainers. The Solid Agency, the standard for event execution live and virtual, including fully loaded Shaggy and Friends, New York, Nigeria, and Antigua music festivals. Burgess Long Walk to Freedom, Bounty, Beanie, Versus, to name a few. Make your career or your event solid. Contact us now, thesolidagency@gmail.com. Call 1-876-469-4005. Visit solidagency.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for staying up to the real issues. And if it is that you're just joining us, my guest this evening is former Senator Tahaka OBIKA. And we are, as I would have indicated before, we're discussing economics, we're discussing wealth creation, we're discussing building business. But I wanna lean for a moment, Tahaka, on your professional background as an economist. There's a prevailing narrative in the public space right now, and it's being pushed, and I'll throw in the little politics here, in large measure by the party of which you were formerly a member, that the economy is in the doldrums, the economy is on the brink of collapse. Some people say it's in free fall. Do the economic fundamentals support that position that is out in the public domain?
No, it doesn't. And number one, I'll look at the macro and I'll go to certain sectors.
Right.
Standard & Poor's and Moody's, two of our biggest international watchers, upgraded the economy in the current quarter that way. So that alone should be enough.
Yeah.
Now, what that means is that we are trending in the right direction. And to be trending positively, coming out of a pandemic, in a region where, apart from Guyana, who just found a mother load of oil,
right.
you know, we should count ourselves lucky to be trending in the right direction. That's the first thing. Fundamentals of the economy, talking about foreign reserves, it has been stable at around above 8 months import cover for the longest while. The economy just registered a 9-month surplus, marginal surplus, but as we say in football, 1-0 is still a win.
Right.
You know, and when you look at, you delve deeper now down into certain sectors, the manufacturing sector. Now, how the manufacturing sector used to be calculated about 8 years ago, it was the non-energy manufacturing sector. But when we changed to the international system of classification, it included what they see in point liters, petrochemicals.
Right.
But typically, ask any Trinidadian, any Trinbagonian, manufacturing, they're not thinking energy. They're not thinking downstream natural gas, fertilizer product. They're not thinking of those kinds of things.
Right.
They're thinking Ansamakal, Hadco, Associated Brands, Lanha, and people making cement, blocks, those kinds of things. So the non-energy manufacturing has significantly improved. And TTME has set a target, I think by 2026, to double manufacturing. And they are, I mean, it's a very bold target, but they are closer to that than where they started off.
Right.
So that means, I mean, even for the stars, even if you fall, is among the clouds, and they will tell you that they will hit the target.
Yeah.
But from a policy maker perspective, if you aim to double and you increase by 50%, I mean, that is still a very great win from that perspective. So the manufacturing sector, and the growth that I'm talking about is in real economic terms, when you discount for inflation. So the manufacturing sector has been the bulwark of this economy, right? To use old words.
Yeah.
Now, as I turn 40, I'm trying to use words for the young people to dig in the dictionary. But we have been an economy that has been specialized in the Caribbean in terms of exports. Guyana is one of our biggest trading partners, and you have Jamaica, Barbados, and so on. But what has been happening as a country is a lot of our foreign, or a lot of our companies that are headquartered here with significant balance sheet, significant source of cash and savings, have been investing in other markets. So it might be registered as outflows, but it's really trying to be increasing our economic footprint.
Right.
So just as we have Metana Holdings International, the company under CL Financial that paid the government upwards of $1 billion over the last couple of years, you see that the model of the economy doesn't have to be what's within our territorial waters alone.
Right.
We can go, the world is our canvas. So just as you have that in Oman, which is in the Middle East, most Trinbagonians never went to and may never go to.
Right.
That has been responsible for paying for keeping the lights on and providing water and the extra $15 million or so that you would need every year for everything that we need in terms of the regional corporations expenditure. So we have been changing the business model gradually as an economy. The public bank's investment in Ghana is in the tune of billions of TC dollars. But what that has done, it has increased the opportunity for trying to bigger companies to enter the African space.
Right.
Now, when I was in Ghana, I have all these European companies there. They're en masse. So we having a bank, our premier bank being there, it serves as a bridge.
Right.
So you have a lot of companies going to Ghana now and looking at and setting up, using there as a launch pad for the rest of the African market. FCB is doing the same. I think they have operations in Central America. I think it's in Costa Rica. And Republic has something in Cuba and that kind of thing. So we're broadening our space, our base. But how does that happen? It's not a question so much of the government going, because it's actually cosmetics. Is SM Jalil, is these people, is not the Ministry of Works and Transport, it's not the Ministry of Housing. So the reality is, and it's construction contractors and so on going and seeing, because Ghana has a 1 million housing shortage. So, and our prices that we are charging is much more affordable than the Europeans and the Americans will charge.
Right.
Because we charge in TT. We convert years, we charge in TT. They charge in US and pounds and so on. So the reality is we are more of a fair trading partner with the African continent and Latin America. So as we grow, what you find is necessary is the balance sheets, the savings of the Trinidadians who are involved in business need to grow. But we also, like in football, you need to have a grassroots program to find one Dwight York, to find one Russell Atapi. You need to train about 1,000 young people. So it's similarly, and most of these young people will fail to become professional athletes, but they provide the ecosystem to create a Dwayne Bravo, because Dwayne Bravo can't train by himself.
Right.
Similarly, in business, you need an ecosystem of innovation, competition. So you need to create a large pool of small and medium enterprises that would mushroom and eventually produce an industry leader that could now go to our next market. And as it gets back down to the work of the government, one of the programs that I admired a lot, because I work in cooperative education since my first job was actually at the Credit Union League in 2001. In the first month of my first job, I saw Twin Towers in America, collapse. So I've always been, since then, involved in cooperative education advocacy. And the youth agriculture homestead program, the young people are not just being trained in agriculture in IKEA, in Centeno. They are also being prepared to form a cooperative so that they can now facilitate purchasing of supplies and then marketing, produce, maybe even processing and so on. So what the government is trying to do is connect them at once to a value chain.
Right.
Because if you leave 400 young people to produce on their own without some system of connection to the value chain, you may not necessarily get a coordinated effort, and you may not get much production out of it, or optimized production out of it. So I actually did that pro bono, because young people and they can't charge. Half my age, 18 and 19 and 20, and so I started.
That's not what your country could do for you, but what you could.
So that was since January.
Right.
Since December into January, I was training them. I did a couple of sessions with them, getting some homework, but like they had classes, so they didn't come back to me at that time. But the reality is, those young people in that program have two things. It's like when I got GATE, they tell you have two things. You have the privilege of having an education, but you also have the obligation to give service to your country. And I think it was for 3 years or somewhere, but I mean, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed here. So now that 17 years ago. So those young people have the privilege of being trained, but now they have the obligation to use the lands that they will get to put it into actual production and to make the best contribution to food security in Trinidad and Tobago. So there, if I speak about the programs that they have for young people, I could talk until.
No, well, I'm going to bring you back specifically for that.
Well, I will have to do some research into some of the other programs. Yes. So, but there are a lot of programs, and there's the Ministry of Youth Development,
right,
for Sir Cummings and Dali Young and those good people there. But I think what we need in this country is a renewal of spirit in terms of what exactly can we do to build this model. So the government is signaling, because governments can't necessarily dictate. We live in a democracy.
Yeah.
So government can only signal.
Right.
And the government is signaling, and the Prime Minister himself, he himself is engaged in farming. I bought a small piece of land myself, and I went and tried to see if I could do the same thing. But my farming, I go be more lazy. I just plant some mango.
Right.
And when it bear, mango, that's I don't worry about the mango. Mangoes in Trinidad, quite easy. You just clean the grass every now and again.
Agro-processing.
Well, somebody else might even use the processing. But at least I'll make a contribution.
Right.
So the thing is, the government is signaling you can own the factors of production in your country. What are the factors of production? Land. You need to focus on getting access to land, and then improving your labor output and the retooling and training yourself, and then capital. I think I want to focus on the entrepreneurship aspect, but as the fourth factor of production, right? And without entrepreneurship, the land wouldn't be put to proper use. The labor wouldn't be directed in the right way.
Right.
And of course, the capital would be wasted.
Right.
So that's the area that I want to focus heavily on. And as we come to the budget is coming up, and I'm sure just now there'll be a slew of interviews all over and so on. And they always ask you one question: what is in it for me? But the question is, the answer to that is this: if you are living in Cedros right now, Granville, Chatham, Buenos Aires, Point Fortin, Palo Seco, and so you are around that farm where those young people are going to be producing in a couple of years, those 200 young people producing on homesteads that the government give them and give them direction, you will be in a position to decide, okay, they need things for their value chain.
Right.
They might need hands for their farm, they might need agronomists, they might need marketers for their product, they might be doing something that is unique, they might need help with processing, purchasing equipment, they might need agro supplies. Just that alone will be a business that you could provide. So the government is signaling to you, this is where we are pointing the country in.
Right.
You can now, you would benefit, because not, people say, where is it for me? But nowhere on the budget you'll see, okay, OBIKA will benefit. You understand?
Yeah.
So you have to look and see what is the benefit in my community, and that benefit will accrue to me.
Right.
The question is if you will partake in it, because you could bring the water for me, but unless I try to, I wouldn't drink it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't benefit from the water. So the reality is the government has brought the opportunity. It is for the population in the different regions to participate.
Right. So just supposed to see the opportunities that present themselves and take advantage of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the economy, okay, the international watchers are saying, Moody's and Standard & Poor's, we're crying all this time about certain things, but we're seeing that they're pointing in the right direction.
Yeah.
COVID was significant. And the economy, if we are to just look at this as an economist, from an economist perspective, the economy from 2014 started declining. All right? You could just repeat that for me, please? Well, as an economist, the facts are clear.
Thank you.
So the economy from 2014, the end of 2014 into 2015,
right,
the economy started declining. I think the price of oil dropped to below $50 a barrel for the first time since the financial crisis around there in 2015. So the last few months, so 2015 when I started off around 50 and it declined. So by 2017, we know it's the first time in my life as an economist, I saw that the price of a commodity could be negative, but I still don't understand how that works to this day.
Yeah.
But that was a scary time.
Right.
So we understand that, but that time has passed. What is important now is to appreciate what is the base of the economy. The manufacturing sector is growing. Agriculture is being focused on by the government.
Mm-hmm.
How can we push ourselves in agro-processing? What other areas can we focus on? There are many things coming down the pipeline that I'm sure will be revealed in the budget.
Right.
You know, and I think it is for those of us who are interested in building the economy to try to find which opportunity sits well with them. Mm-hmm. For young people who are in school and are trying to tool themselves, I think they need to pay very close attention to what is coming down the pipeline in terms of the job, because the job market is going to be demanding certain skills. Mm-hmm. More skills than so it's all good to have these more academic type professional certificate qualifications. Yeah. But it is necessary to arm yourself with a skill, you know. And by the way, entrepreneurship is a skill. Yeah. So, because entrepreneur sees where there are gaps in the market and exploits them by bringing capital. It doesn't have to be your capital. Yeah. You know, we're bringing capital to the table.
I think entrepreneurship is now being taught as a subject in some secondary schools.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know what time it was?
Yeah, that's business management. Yeah. And business management is really guiding you,
right,
to be at best a manager in someone's company.
Correct.
It was not about recognizing market opportunity from a pure sense. They touched on it in certain areas, but like the 4 Ps of marketing, but it wasn't really from a position.
So it was basically guiding you so that when you finish CXC and A levels, you go to university and study to get your degree in business administration.
So you could manage somebody.
Correct. Yeah.
The only thing in school I remember that was preparing people to be business persons was junior achievers.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I wasn't part of that.
Yeah.
But because I was President College here. They had sports day.
Right.
I go into a design any school. I say I'm going to design something for me. I went to a printery in the community, and I didn't have any money. I didn't spend $1.
Yeah.
I told the printery, give me consignment. If I talk to the school, they'll tell you that I am a good student. Give me a consignment, print the t-shirts. Presentation College, Playboys, play, sold them.
Right.
Exam was coming up, so I just give the rest to the principal. So he schooled me all the money. But because I can't bring to Mrs. OBIKA. My mother had a bad grade.
Yeah.
So I abandoned that course and give the t-shirts to Brother Michael, principal. And
right.
The school made a nice sum of money from my entrepreneurship. But the thing is, entrepreneurs, people say entrepreneurs have to be born, and I don't agree with that. Anybody can recognize opportunity in a market.
Right.
Anybody. An entrepreneur is basically recognizing what is a need and fulfilling the need. So as simple, and then making sure it could be commercially viable.
But it's interesting you should mention that, Tahaka, because I know in the height of COVID, there were a lot of people who would have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Who would have had business ideas before, but of course, they're afraid to take that, I give up my 8 to 4, where I guaranteed a salary to go into this, and I'm not sure. And when they would have lost their jobs, and COVID created an environment where I had no choice. And you have a lot of people who would have gone into business, say, well, okay, I have nothing to lose. And today, these are thriving businesses, and the only regret these people have is that they didn't do it before.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who, as soon as the furloughing stopped and they got a job, they got that was COVID, COVID phase.
Right.
Like when I was in school, I was my university phase.
Yeah.
But that's okay. At least they saw the opportunity.
Yes.
And then there are persons who like market movers and these people who did door-to-door kind of stuff. You got a barber coming to your house to cut your hair and that kind of thing.
Right.
So people providing meals on wheels, and there was a lot of unique. And I bought a pillowcase with children's picture and white picture because they were abroad at the time. And the girl who made it, she was in Buenos Aires, and I was staying by the university at the time. So the courier services came up, a lot of that, because that wasn't really that prevalent before COVID, from my mind. That was more kind of business type thing, but not the everyday person having access to a courier in your village to supply. So that showed people the opportunity. The key thing is, how do people build on that? Because in business, there's something called Peter's principle. You'll do something, you'll continue doing something to the point of incompetence. That might sound like politics, but you keep promoting somebody until the point of incompetence. So it's like you have a van and you say, okay, one cow could go on the van, but 1,000 cows can't go. So there'll be a point where you have to stop and buy a truck and then a trailer and so on. So persons need to learn how to scale. And I think what we will hope for, segueing back to the budget, I think what we should look forward to as a country is how in the local regions that we operate in, we can build small but viable businesses that we can, in the end, scale up. If you look at the story of many persons in this country that started small, I remember Heather Jones was telling me her story, and she used to sell on the drag mall, I think. That was on the promenade, but it's not what we know today. It was the Brian Lara promenade, but that was Independence Square, I guess. I don't know if it was called that then too. But it wasn't a pretty place. I remember taking a maxi Independence Square back in those days. It was not a nice place to linger and so on for a young person. But so now she is big, established, and she has grown. But how did she grow? By retaining wealth. And there'll be young people starting off as a young girl, crocheting and starting off crocheting, and she crochets like bikinis and those liberation colors, the Rasta colors, vests for men, and she would sell those. I said, well, you could make a clothing line. And she said, well, it never occurred to her. So for a lot of people, it's just a question of being accessing mentorship and enlightenment. These things, once they are being accessed, they will be able to see how they can progress, because that young lady never thought about that. Somebody could have talked and tell her, okay, here's what. If you could make 100, I'll put it in my store. If it sells, if it don't sell, they come and take it. But you have to market it and that kind of thing. And as simple as that, she can build a clothing line. But some people need a nudge. They won't just do it on their own. So I think
but and as you raised the point, and you mentioned Heather Jones. I mean, we have Heather Jones, you have Claudia Pegas, you have Mailing, and all of these different persons who are into fashion. Fashion has money in it, but again, are we exposing the young people to all of these different possibilities instead of the parents just focusing on telling them, well, okay, do the traditional thing, but we really need to move towards that whole entrepreneur. How do we harness the talents of all of these people so that they could be a resource to the young people to provide them with these same stories as to how they would have started, and to guide them as to where they should go if this is something that they want to get into.
So there are things that I'm familiar with, that I'm knowledgeable on fashion, but I will just say this part with the fashion. If there is a young person interested in fashion, go to what we used to call John D. And have a conversation with the persons there at UTT. There is a whole setup there that the government has spent millions on and continues to spend millions on, catering exclusively for persons who want to become fashion producers. That's all it's there for. Nothing else. So I think UTT, they still call it John D, right? So that's on Wrightson Road.
Correct, yes.
I'm from South, I wasn't sure if sometimes the name is changing. So right there on Wrightson Road, right there, I think there's direction, and persons can go there 8 to 4 once the universities are open, and ask the question. And if you can't physically come to Port of Spain, go on UCT's website and look for the number and call them.
Right.
Because the opportunity is there, but again, they have to go and access it.
Right. So we go to our second break for the evening, folks. We continue discussion, our most interesting discussion. You know, we take a little sabbatical from what we're accustomed to discussing. So stay locked. We will be right back.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle from the first restaurant in 1968 when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the Castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you. And is the real flavor of TNT.
A warm welcome awaits you at Alicia's Palace, a hotel nested in the quiet hills of Lady Chancellor at 1 3/4 mile mark just above the Emperor Valley Zoo. Alicia's Palace is the perfect place to combine pleasure and business. A 24-hour facility with full amenities, including air-conditioned rooms with Wi-Fi, mini fridge, microwave, and cable TV. Designed to provide you with quiet comfort and convenience. The perfect staycation location where you can swim in the outdoor pool, soak in the jacuzzi, or simply soak up the sun, all at an affordable price. Relax and enjoy local dishes in an eco-friendly environment. At Alicia's Palace, they conduct steam cleaning of all rooms and common areas in keeping with current health and safety protocols. Whether it's a special occasion or simply just to get away, Alicia's Palace combines affordability and quality service. For more details, check out their Facebook page, Alicia's Palace HQ, or give them a call at 621-1017 or 624-8553.
If you're planning an event, make us your first option. At Reality of a Dream, we can make your event memorable. We can assist in planning your corporate functions, moderate gatherings, family occasions, christenings, and more. We also cater for weddings and other special occasions. Our newly renovated venue includes a majestic entryway, which takes you along a path to a fantastic indoor facility, which can accommodate up to 80 dining guests. A recently completed, fully air-conditioned, beautifully designed wing, which maintains the theme and flow of Reality of a Dream, adds 30 extra seats for dining guests. In total, we can now seat a total of 110 dining guests. Come see for yourself the splendor that awaits you. Walk along the path and make your way to the breathtaking, well-maintained swimming pool and gazebo, and also the entire grounds of Reality of a Dream. We've also updated the Dream Suite, which comes with all modern conveniences where guests can enjoy the feeling of an exquisite retreat overlooking the entire area. Reality of a Dream caters to professional events. We provide secure parking for guests, so call us at 332-6880 and ask for Harriet, located at number 15 Moses Avenue, San Juan. Reality of a Dream, making dreams come true every day.
You have skills?
My skill is public relations. I like poetry because of the fact that I can express myself and still hide behind words. Yeah, now more bold with words. I really appreciate about Alta the fact that I didn't feel alienated. I am skilled and I am Alta skilled.
Are you 16 or over? Add reading and writing to your skills with free Alta classes. Sign up at Nalis Libraries on September 5th and 6th or call 708-1990.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying locked to the Realist News, discussing some economics this evening. And again, if you're just joining us, my guest is Tahaka OBIKA. We're gonna throw in a little politics just now, but I wanna throw this question out to Tahaka. Tahaka, there's a recent, well, during the election campaign, one of the political leaders made the point, well, his position, that the African community in Trinidad and Tobago serves only two purposes, which is to provide labor and to be consumers. That they don't own industry, right? They own nothing. But we know that is not so. But at the end of the day, the general perspective or perception is that of all the races in Trinidad and Tobago, the African community is the least of the disciples when it comes to business and industry. Why do you think that is so? Is it true? And if so, why do you think that is so? What is holding back the African community from excelling in industry?
Well, what I want to say that is always and it's something I learned because I entered politics at 34. Without a roadmap, it's like you're going to use the swimming pool and the training deep end.
Yeah.
So I learned the hard way that despite my strong groundings in Enja, once I put on a political hat,
right,
that Enja hat is off. All my background and learnings is not going to be regarded. I'll be seen exclusively through a political lens.
Yeah.
So what I would advise people that they will always tread very carefully and try not to mix politics and race because it never comes across comfortable.
Yeah.
You know? And then I learned that now, but
right.
I would have been happy if I had this wisdom a few years ago, but I learned it now, right? Thankfully, some may say I learned it too late, some may say I learned it just in time. Some will say, well, you know, you live and you learn. But the important thing is that I feel that I've learned that much. What I will say though is that no ethnic group is a monolith. So to describe one characteristic and paint a broad brush, it will not sit well because no ethnic group is a monolith. Now, because I give a story, I went to Tobago with my wife. My wife is from West Africa, so I went to Tobago with her. When first came, when I first brought her to Trinidad, after marriage, and we stayed. We got picked up in the airport. We stayed in a guest house. First guest house, we didn't like the space. The man said, "No problem, I want next guest house." Oh, my next guest house. It was in Crown Point. Then he said, "I'll bring a car for you. Bring the car, rent a car, drive around." I said, "I didn't like that car. I want a next car, a different car." So. Because when you give us a car because I'm driving, I want a different car, more sporty. In the end, you're on vacation, you want to enjoy yourself.
Right.
So you went to, next car, you went to Charlottesville, Pirates Bay, come back down, eat restaurant in a mall, a shopping mall. And when we left Tobago, I told my wife, you know, every dollar we spend there, we spend it in businesses owned by that same black man.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't happen by design.
Right.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
I still don't even know him now.
Right.
But the bottom line is, every single dollar we spent, the restaurant wasn't his own, but it was a tenant in his mall.
Right.
In Crown Point. So the reality is, if you see in his family that black people are not in business, they wouldn't be able to identify with that.
Right.
So we are not a monolith. And what I feel is necessary is those of us that have excelled in certain areas can serve as mentors for those of us that are behind. So for example, and it happens in every other area, maybe we need to do a little more in business.
Right.
Because when it comes to, I'll give you an example. If my daughter go to school and sing one line, it will have 10 people who will say, send her by this person, send her by that person.
Right.
Because that's what we do. If my son chest chopper football tomorrow, well, he in National Stadium training next week.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even ask you for money. You know, you bring your son, man. When you get money, you will pay or you don't pay, whatever. Yeah. If your son does well academically, well, oh gosh, you want to set up scholarship fund. So we focus on academics.
Right.
The student is business. What about business? So it might be that in certain communities, they focus on business more.
Right.
Because that's a bigger experience.
Yeah.
A strong experience. And there are certain communities where that experience is, you can get a similar experience. I grew up in Point Fortin, and there are a lot of people who have a business. So it's not necessarily, some of them may not have large businesses, but they are self-sustaining and they have their own business, a lot of them. So it's not, so like the sessions I'm doing in Point and Library, it's falling on fertile soil because everybody have a business person in the family.
Right.
It might have an uncle with one truck, but it's a truck.
Yeah.
It might have an uncle with a shop, it's still a shop. Some of them have proper businesses, like energy sector based. A lot of them tend to do business in the energy sector and provide services to the energy sector. But some of them have physical businesses you could see on land and so on. Some own buildings and generations, and they'll have nicknames like Bag of Money and we like to add nicknames to everybody, right?
Right.
But the reality is it is not necessarily so. What we may need to do is just focus more on it, so that all the communities that we belong to actually focus on business the same way we focus on sports, culture, and education. I think that is basically what needs to happen.
Right.
Because it's false to an extent, and it may have an element of truth, but here's the problem with that. In some families, you look around, there's nobody doing business. But that doesn't mean there's nobody doing well.
Right.
Because if you come from a typical public service, middle class family, you might have many uncles and aunts who are senior police. And they wouldn't start senior, they start on the ground.
Right.
There's a senior soldier, who is a chef, might be a caterer, might have a little small business, might be a lawyer, that kind of thing. So you have across the spectrum. You have those who will also be working as the workers in the county council and the city corporation, that kind of thing. So you have at every level, teacher, everything. So in that family, you may not have a business person, but they have all the prerequisites. They have capital, they have a skill that they've developed. It may just be for them to be nudged.
Yeah.
See how you're in a school. Why don't you just make something and try to see the cafeteria go by it?
Yeah.
That's all. You're a teacher in a school, get the cafeteria juice or whatever, and try to see if they'll buy it from you. And start from there. And that might be enough.
Yeah.
There are people who provide uniforms. They bought some printing equipment and they're printing uniforms to schools. There are persons who make cakes, and they do it so well that they provide it to bakeries and so on. So it is just a question of getting that nudge. A lot of people with savings, they're just afraid to touch it, they're afraid to lose it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to use your whole savings. You could take 10% of it. Just 10, 5%, if 10 is too much.
Right.
Take 5% of it. And as I told you, there are many businesses you could start without putting out capital directly. It's just, it may not be all of them, but some of them, that opportunity might be there. So.
Yeah, but you have, and I agree with you, because there's a lady I buy sorrel from every year for Christmas, and I mean, it lasts year. I can't wait for Christmas to, So, but again, it's just something that she does on the side.
Yeah.
But this is something that she, if I wouldn't say the opportunity presents itself. As you say, she probably just needs that nudge. I mean, I have a cousin who sells peanut punch. Okay. It's one of the best peanut punches that you get.
Yeah. And I'm a peanut punch fan, even though I can't eat too much nuts.
Right.
My wife explained to me that it's why it causes buttons on my skin. I didn't even know that was an allergy I had.
Right.
But it's strong in my son. So I stopped eating, but now and again you buy from the restaurant on the highway. I ain't go kill. Buy a peanut punch in the gas station once a week. So, and that is a big market.
Correct.
That's a big market.
No, I mean, she's thinking about getting it into,
and that's very easy. You just got to get a food health badge. You have to get public health to check your place that you're using. As I say, if she don't want to spend the $10,000 to retrofit a kitchen, you got to get mosquito net and those kind of things, and you have to buy the tree sink thing. And if you don't want to do that, you could just utilize somebody else's kitchen for the time being. And And that's easy as peanut punches are easy thing to make money from.
Yeah.
And it's people don't question the price. Peanut punch, how much? But then pull on 20, you know, you might get $8 change, you might get $10 change, you're not sure.
Yeah.
But peanut punch is a big thing.
Right. Pastels for Christmas, yeah, people, you're going to one of these gourmet stores and 6 pastels and costing 100 and something, almost $200.
I was in the Emancipation Village, $25 also one pastel.
You serious?
Yeah. It tastes good.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But before we get to I think we're going to the politics in the last half hour, but I want to ask you, whenever the diversification conversation comes up, the focus is always on government. The government's supposed to do this, and the government. What role should the government play with respect to diversification, and what role should the private sector play in terms of a percentage? Who is more responsible? Is it 50-50, or is it government's role ready to create an enabling environment that facilitates?
So in the days when our economy was new, and families didn't have much wealth because we came out of a colonial experience.
Right.
A colonial experience drains wealth from a country. It's not in our interest.
Yeah.
So when we were in a new country, it was the government that had to do it.
Right.
So we were all socialists growing up, that was a necessary thing. But now we are more pragmatic. We understand that the government is not the one with all the savings. A lot of the savings actually belongs to the citizens.
Right.
So the citizens are the ones who have to be encouraged to invest. The government's role is to probably invest in strategic sectors that the market cannot invest in or may not be attracted to at this time. And but the government's role is really to push private sector in that direction by providing the facilitation. So, for example, when you look at the agro-processing, which the manufacturing sector is pushing growth significantly, you look at steel pan, for example. I mean, I don't think anybody expects the government to really get involved in taking over from Boogsy Sharp and the boss Butch and in Marbella and Lloyd Gay in Gasparillo and so on. I don't think people expect the government to take over from those people. But you have Panland in Lavantel, you have Mitco, which is a collaboration between private sector and pan tuners and so on, the Tuners Guild. But we need about 10 Mitcos and 10 Panlands. Two different business models. Yeah. But what it does is it formalizes manufacturing of the steel pan to supply to the world because there is a shortage. So, and that sustains significant jobs. And a pan tuner does well once he has business. Right. You know, a pan maker, pan tuner, anybody along that value chain, they do well once the system of payment is fair. Now, just as they have that in pan, and kudos to the government getting World Steel Pan Day. It was a moment because being in the pan fraternity, even though just as a bass player, another big hippie in the pan fraternity, just a bass player. But it is a good feeling, you know. In fact, the captain told me that they already finished the panorama tune. I said, August. He said, fellas like you need to take long to learn the tune, so you had to come back. So I'll go down this Saturday and learn the tune. Right. But besides pan, you have the fashion industry, as I said. Then you have so many different sectors. Agro-processing. You have government supporting it by signaling. So the government will give grants for manufacturing. But to get the grant, remember, grant is taxpayers' dollars. Yeah. It's what we call free money. But it's not free because it is a cost to the taxpayer. So the grants start at $250,000 and go up to $1 million. So that's significant funds. Right. And it's really just for process improvement, innovation, equipment, and that kind of thing. So that could scale up if you get $500,000, $1 million. That could change your thing from a a haphazard kind of thing to something where if you get an order from Japan for 5 orchestras,
right,
you could provide it.
Yeah.
You know, but to qualify for that, persons have to go, and you can't just go with a thing where, okay, let me get the money. You have to go with someone who will be willing to sit and do the meticulous work of filling out the applications,
right,
getting your business records in place, because if you are giving money to someone, you want to know that they have produced for a few years, and they want to know a couple of years, actually, 2 years, and they want to know that they have systems that will allow them to increase their production. So when you get any money and they produce the same one that they was producing before, I'm not sure that might be the best use of government funds.
Right.
But if you give them the funds and it allows them to improve their processes, produce more, hire more people, then that is what is valuable. So the government, in terms of diversification, we have also the yachting grant, and because a lot of young people, when we say yachting, we think of the persons who sitting on a boat drinking champagne.
Yeah.
What we think of is the fellow who goes down in Chagramas and does the sanding, the sandblasting, and the forming and the building. We don't think of that guy.
Yeah.
The yachting industry is about that guy. It's not, it's not about the guy drinking the champagne. That is what we see. But the guy who builds his house, that guy already have houses. That's why he can sip champagne on the yacht.
Right.
The young guy who gets the job to build and sand and design and so on, that is the person we are building the industry for.
Right.
And it's a premier industry. So you could charge much more than you would be allowed to charge under certain normal circumstances. So the government is signaling in this direction. The private sector has to follow. But who is the private sector? Families. Private sector is not, we tend to think the private sector, we think the businessman, and we think somebody that is not us. The private sector are the families in this country.
Yeah.
So if you have 1.3 million people, and every family extended is about 20-something people, then you know you're talking about what? 130 divided by 5, you have about 30,000 odd, 25, 30,000 odd people. So you have 25, 30,000 odd families in this country. When you get together for Christmas, you sit down, when you get together for Eid, for Emancipation, for Diwali, for Carnival even, for Borodin Point. Talk about business, what business we're going to do. And even if it is $10,000, that's all you can put together to try a thing, as you like to say, try a good thing.
Right.
And look and see which member in your family might be more inclined to do business, and send them to do one of the government programs, just as they will sit down and bring the football boots when they come in from New York.
Yes.
For the star who went and play in Intercol, you know, and the guitar for the one who doing music, and you know, go and get the business form application for NETCO for the young person in the family.
Right.
And that is a grant. And if the grants full up, no problem. Support them to take the loan, encourage them to take the loan, because only 1,000 grants.
Right.
But there's about 25,000 families in the country.
Yeah.
So if every family send a young person, it will have 24,000 families that don't get.
Right.
Send them to take the loan. Push the young people into entrepreneurship. And if you aim small and aim is small, so it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're successful, you will do well.
Yeah. But I like the example you gave just now with the yachting industry, right? Because Dr. Rowley made a statement some time ago that there is nothing wrong with the rich getting richer. When the rich get richer, they create opportunities for the poor. And most people who would have heard that thinking along the lines of, again, a job. But in the example you just gave there, if it is the rich man gets richer and he has 2 yachts, you can now he creates an opportunity where the same young man who you talk about who will do the sandblasting and so on, he can now start a business to offer these services to the very same rich man who sit down drinking the champagne to do the sandblasting or whatever it is, and whatever other services that these persons might require. So it's not always to think, well, it's an 8 to 4 job, that is the only thing that the wealthy could create.
Well, one thing I learned with social media is we live in a soundbite generation.
Right.
So what I would say is this. In our country, the rich getting richer should not necessarily mean that everybody else gets poor.
Right.
It should be the rising tide that lifts all boats. Because what people tend to do with that soundbite is they add the other part, the poor getting poorer.
Yes. Which he didn't say.
Exactly. So
he said the poor must come out of poverty, and one need not go down for the other to come up. It don't have to be like
exactly.
a seesaw.
But because we're in a soundbite generation,
right,
we always have to be clear to put what we feel the mischief is. So the mischief is going to be that. I am saying the rising tide should lift all boats.
Yes.
You can't be in a country where and progress where people aren't making it out. People aren't getting wealthy. People must get wealthy for there to be opportunity to get wealthy.
Right.
Because then the whole premise of me telling families, find one entrepreneur in a family, is because we believe that there's an opportunity for the family to gain wealth and the family to get wealthy.
Right.
Or rich, as we like to say. But I feel when people think rich too, they think in Scrooge McDuck and a big castle with gold coins.
Right.
That's the problem with Trinidad. And we have good imaginations and long memory with those things.
41%.
Right. So
yes.
So then right, but just not me.
Yes.
That is the problem. Everybody in Trinidad will think it's not me. Even people who might belong to the business class.
Right.
Will think, well, it's not me they're talking about, they're thinking about somebody else.
Yeah.
So the reality is, I think if we take a sober approach, all right, to the whole topic of wealth creation, recognize it is for everybody.
Yeah.
But you have to want to work towards it, you know? And you have to be disciplined, because I remember Professor Carl Theodore, one of my lecturers, senior lecturers, and I think he set up the economics unit, the health economic unit at St. Augustine. So I started a PhD, but I taking it easy. I'm doing part-time.
Right.
I can't do this, work, politics sometimes, family, and of course business, because I was saying, I don't do business, you had to walk the talk. I can't do all that and do a full-time PhD.
Right.
So I doing one course a semester if I could manage. And sometimes if family and work come first, I will have to take my time on that as well. Because the most important thing for me is fun. But Professor Theodore was narrating a story that they did a poverty study. And there were two households side by side. One with a big Mako upstairs and downstairs concrete house with veranda and driving carport and all that.
Right.
And next to that was a classical wooden house with somebody eaves falling off on them. And he came to them and he probably thought one family was significantly poorer than the next one. Came to the family in the old house and asked, what they work? They had good jobs, public service, that kind of thing. And the other family, same thing, public service.
Yeah.
And then he asked the first family who had the big house, how you reach there? He said, well, we saved the cut corner. You know, we didn't buy clothes every time. You know, we didn't change curtain every year. We were modest. Instead of going abroad for vacation, enjoy Trinidad and that kind of. Mostly go to Grenada. Those kinds of stories, right? They went to people next door. Well, they live the life of celebrities. So they travel the world, London, New York, everywhere. Every single party they were present. They had the best clothes. They showed them their wardrobe from back in the days with bell bottom. And so here's like, okay, if you come to this family and tell them to do like the other family, they don't want to hear that.
Right.
Because that is not how they want to live their life. Now, for that family, if I am encouraging them to do business, I would not tell them to cut expenses.
Yeah.
That is the quickest way for them to run more the house.
Right.
I will tell them, try to make more money.
Yes.
Because they're not going to cut their lifestyle.
Correct.
But make more money so you could invest in business. But the other family, they're already on the right path. All they could do is just try to show them an opportunity, because they would have had savings, and if they're willing to to risk a part of their savings on a business opportunity. But and with these people I train, I don't give them the opportunities.
Yeah.
I ask them to find the problem that they are seeing.
Right.
To solve. Because only they can follow through on it. It's not my money they're risking, it's theirs. Right. It's not my time, it's their time.
Right.
So that's basically that part in terms of families and wealth.
Yeah.
It's a question of choices, and the families understand that, people understand that. So you just have to make the right choices.
Nice. So we go to our third break, final break for this evening. When we come back, we delve into the politics. So stay locked, we'll be right back.
You have skills?
My skill is mechanical fitting. Alta put a new meaning into my life. It made me able to do things on my own. I know where I used to be. And right now, I like where I'm at. I like what Alta have turned me into. I am skilled. I am Alta skilled.
Are you 16 or over? Add reading and writing to your skills with free Alta classes. Sign up at Nalis Libraries on September 5th and 6th or call 708-1990.
The rainy season is here. Don't wait until your roof is falling into call. Contact Murphy's Roofing to get all your roofing services done now. Murphy's Roofing System is offering 10% off labor, 5% off material, 10% off roof cleaning, and 10% off roof painting. So contact them at 356-7663 or WhatsApp to 987-663 or check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Murphy's Roofing System or Twitter at Murphy's System. And remember, Murphy's Roofing System, where you always get quality work for your money.
Green Dot continues to deliver internet connectivity to a wide range of communities in Trinidad. With our combination fiber and wireless network, you get the service you need wherever you live. Stream your favorite shows, enjoy online tuition, stay in touch with your work team, and connect with friends and family with internet service at a price you can afford. As communities continue to grow, we continue to deliver. Call 224-GDOT or visit gd.tt today. Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
Are you stressed and worried by problems? Then meet Priest Santosh G. Priest is specialized in palm, face, photo, and date of birth reading and gives solutions to problems in marriage, relationships, love, business, job, health, and removes all negativity and bad luck permanently and gives good luck and also gives lifelong protection. Home consultation is done. Call Priest Santosh on 756-8401. That's 756-8401.
Welcome back to Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, it's 9:30 and we're actually into the last half hour of this evening's program. As I always tell my guests, how time flies. I remember when I threw my mind back to the first couple shows that we did, and some of my guests used to say, well, I could only do an hour, and then we ended up going the full 2, right? So we switch now into the politics side. We've been discussing economics, we've been discussing business, and I give you the assurance that Tahaka is going to be back in the not too distant future, or perhaps as soon as I come back from my short vacation, so that we could continue tonight's discussion. But Tahaka, you were perhaps the most high-profile departure in a series of departures from the opposition party, the United National Congress, over the last few months, right? And I know you would have taken a lot of licks from some of your former colleagues. In fact, I was going through the Facebook page of one of them today, and I saw a picture that they put up with you standing next to some PNM social media activists, and the commentary was less than flattering. right? So I'm sure the people want to know, you don't have to divulge everything, but what would have prompted that decision to walk away? And what do you see as the prospects perhaps for the UNC going forward in terms of if you had to envision a cabinet in 2025, a UNC government? What is that likely to look like?
So I think that was the crux of it, because when you consider what is politics about? Politics is not about being in opposition. Politics is about who is going to be in a position to take office to run the country. That is in terms of political office. Everything else is political action, because politics really service to the fellow man, right?
Yeah.
An organized system. But in terms of political office, the bottom line is who is going to be in cabinet. And when you look at once there's a critical mass of cabinet, that determines the culture of the persons and of the administration. And when you look at some of the persons who are currently sitting in the parliament, and you recognize that succession planning must happen, and it typically would tend to happen, you would see it manifest itself in government. People in Trinidad only have to sit in my shoes. They only have to envision being governed by some of the wholesome characters.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Right.
Just some of them. I mean, I'm sure persons would be eager to see a Ravi Ratiram as a super minister. And there are many others there are several others who have serious questions to answer to the police and to the courts.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't even have to go that far. Once you look at who is being offered, even if they didn't have questions to answer to the police, the more important question is, what do some of them who are holding key positions as shadows, what do they have to offer to the country?
Right.
And there would have been things that happened along the way that made me realize, well, I prefer not to be on this side at all.
Right.
Because it is what is yet to come, and it will be a very scary scenario where when you see what you foretold come to reality, come to pass. And I prefer to work to ensure that never happens.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you enter politics because you are asked to serve as a senator. So you enter and you enter focusing on service.
Right.
And you don't want to be serving with people because it just takes a few, in key positions.
Right.
And once they are with you in government, you could see that you could be doing two things that are bad. One, you could get in trouble because you're guilty by association. And two, you could be doing things that are against the development of the country.
Right.
So I always tried to be evidence-based in my criticism. So, I mean, there'll be times you'll enjoy the rhetoric on the platform and say things. And then there's party messaging that also that you can typically have to conform to.
Right.
But in terms of the bulk of my contributions, if people bored enough and want to look at Senate contributions in Parliament, and my contributions are mostly on economics.
Right.
They would see I try to focus on doing research, evidence-based critiques, because what is criticism? Criticism is holding a mirror up to someone and showing them, here, don't mind, you're dressed to the nines. When you're taking a picture, you have a button here, you have a thing there, you might want to go and fix that. They didn't shave this part of your face properly. So similarly, politics is governed by humans.
Right.
Nobody's perfect. So it is easy it is the job of the opposition really is to find evidence-based criticism, not insults, not taking a female member of the government and deriding her, you know, not being a fashion police. Those things are irrelevant.
Yeah.
So whether or not a family in Tuku would have access to opportunities in the morning, those things are irrelevant to whether a student who's studying abroad today will be able to get a job when they come back to Trinidad because they have to complete their mandatory 3 to 5 year service depending on what the government paid for them.
Right.
But when you have elevated to positions of authority, someone who has a sworn affidavit against him for something that is being bandied about as human trafficking. And they remain there, and they are not backbenched, and their shadow portfolio is not removed. And this person could be in charge of significant aspects of national economic development when they get into office. No, that is something to stand against.
Right.
That is reprehensible as a father. I mean, you're trying not to get angry when you talk in public. But those things are vexing, it angers you.
Yeah.
You know, and some of these people have key positions, you know.
Right.
So it's not like it's a fringe person that you could ignore them in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, in 2025, you will get throat bus, you could ignore him.
Yeah.
It's not that he chairing the screening committee, basically, not chairing, but he become like he's the boss of it.
Right.
So he is the person selecting. He is the moral compass that you're using to select persons who are going to be populating all the regional corporations in this country. Most of the people who are in the regional corporations don't want to pass through his hand.
Right.
So, no, man.
So is that why we've not heard anything from the leadership with respect to a particular councillor who is now under the police radar with respect to pulling a licensed firearm on a young lady? She claims she would have sent details of the incident to the political leader, deputy political leader, and others. And this happened since they would have had this information more than a year ago, and yet still this individual was still selected.
I want to be careful because I still walk the road.
Right.
I still go to the grocery like everybody else. So I don't want to.
Yes.
I want to be very careful.
Right.
But because people get too impassioned with this politics.
Yeah.
Even if something is the truth, sometimes it's better just leave it alone and let the police do their job. So I think if there's a matter for the police, let them do their job, and I will leave that there.
Right.
But the reality is that is child's play compared to some of the things that you know.
Yeah.
But I tell you, there was 2 weeks before I decided it was time to go.
Right.
In the office working on some research media review, budget. So I work in, and then police going and pick up one of the MPs. And it's not one of the MPs they was expecting, because it's none of the MPs they expected.
Yeah.
So it's none of the ones that they heard.
Right.
For anything at all. So it's like, okay, he should be clean.
Yeah.
I said, what's that? I was like, okay. Why should I be worried? I wasn't there.
Right.
Understand?
Yeah.
But at that time I wasn't thinking about leaving. But I was fed up of the direction that things were going. The difference with being, the difference with being in the PNM is stark.
Right.
So I could just get down to making my contribution. I could just focus on what I feel is necessary to help, and then of course where they wish to use my skills as well, I support.
Right.
And I'm comfortable in an organization where no organization is perfect, we are all human. But at the same time, that gives opportunities for persons to come in and put their shoulder to the wheel.
Right.
But I don't want to be in an organization where at the helm, you have persons who really and truly, you know, I have family in law enforcement. You know, I have an uncle, a great uncle, who was in the special branch.
Yeah.
In independence era.
Right.
An ex-uncle was a police sergeant, and then attorneys and family and so on. You cannot elevate people who belong to the underworld or people who make serious missteps in law. Obvious missteps. Things that words like fraud and embezzlement.
Right.
Those things shouldn't be the things you should be defending against. You know.
Yeah.
And I think the last straw for me was when you had to hear persons saying that they have no human trafficker in the party. And then you see the same person in the same meeting, everybody saying, well, yeah, that is person.
Yeah.
Everybody saying, well, yeah, I see that the what do you call this thing, the affidavit.
Right.
And they narrating to you word for word, you know, blow by blow things. People giving you examples of things that would have happened that had nothing to do with the
functions
affidavit.
that they would have attended and they would have been propositioned. We've heard multiple.
Well, I saw that one, but that other thing, person picking up in the airport and it's like, okay, this was open. It's like if you know, you would say the mayor of San Fernando, the former mayor of San Fernando now, he has a band, a steel band.
Right.
Everybody know that?
Yeah.
This was like that.
Right.
It's that open. So it's not a It's not a secret. So if it's that open, then why?
Yeah.
So now I never knew about that. I heard something once from one person.
Right.
When you now come into organization, then and open up to you.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the gallery still.
Yeah.
After some time, you reach your living room.
Right.
And then 2-3 times, people in the kitchen, you're going. You see something you're not supposed to see.
Right.
Over time, they lay a pass. You go in the backyard lineman.
Right.
Now and again, they go in Uncle room and see if you can get someone up on top of the grip.
Right.
And it's them times you'll get access to the real thing. And when you realize, well, this is not the place for me.
Yeah.
I can't bring my children here in good conscience. And I was bringing my children here. And some of the people, greeting your trespass. I said, no, man.
Right.
There was a meeting that I was watching with this day, when a lady in the party was introducing her children to daughters. And this is the future.
Yeah.
That's the future of the party.
Right. The children of the UNC?
Yes. That's the future of the party.
Right.
So what that means is, I grew up with an ethos where you serve for the majority of your life. My parents served in Jack for 40 years straight.
Right.
Unflinching. And had no money in that. That is just service. So I tend to, I go full. I put my shoulder to the wheel. I'm not going and then you bring your children into it because you have to continue that legacy.
Right.
I'm not going and put my shoulder to no wheel where that is promoted. It's better you get rid of those people.
Right.
There's plenty to get rid of, eh?
Yeah. They got nobody left.
It's better you get rid of those people and you stay in a position.
Right.
Then they get into government with them. And that was what somebody was saying, a senior person on that side was saying, they prefer to lose than to go in government with them.
Right. Senior person.
Yeah. And when I say they prefer to lose, they mean 2025, right?
Yeah.
They prefer to lose than to go in government with them attached to the party.
Right.
At the senior level. I think that was enough for me. As if the elderly saying something,
right.
I think I have to listen to that one. And that was an eye opener for me.
Right.
They want change. It's like when when you stand on a platform and you represent an organization, you have to believe that you're doing something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what is the point standing there? Now, if you're in an organization and it's perfect, that means you're dead. Because there's no perfect organization on the planet. Because human beings. So what you believe in has to be that you are in a position to make a contribution to improve the thing that you're in. It also means that you're in an organization that has been improving the lives of people and will continue to do so. So whatever little contribution you make, whether it's bringing water to a meeting, mobilizing people for the meeting, promoting the meeting on social media, supporting the meeting, or talking in the meeting. Whatever you do for that organization, you must believe in them. Otherwise, you can't. It will wrestle with your spirit.
Yeah,
understand. So it was at that stage, but I mean, people will say what they have to say. I'm not worried about them. I know who called me afterwards. I know who refused to talk to me afterwards.
Yeah.
But I mean, as human beings, they will be upset. So I expect that.
Right.
Because I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So obviously, that came as a shock. But I couldn't tell anybody. Because it's not like if I wasn't retiring from a job.
Right.
So I couldn't tell anybody. But if people in the party right now, sitting in parliament right now, saying they don't want to get into government,
right,
with some of the people they have sitting next to them, right now, some of the senior people don't want to get over them.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
But why are they still there?
Well, maybe they're trying to get rid of
so they're doing what little they could to try and
maybe, I don't know.
Clean house?
I don't know. But it doesn't matter to me. I'm not there.
Right.
I know that. I'm not going to stick around because I know those people are going to leave.
Right.
That is the future leaders of the party. And if you want to see who will be governing the country, take those same people who have problems with the police right now, and ask yourself, if a man could commit certain crimes in broad daylight, so this, whether it's fraud or whatever it is the person did, what will they do when they have the cover and the complexity of government?
Right.
Where they can cover their tracks. If someone, and the old people have a saying, what you see in broad daylight, you don't shine flambeau to find in night.
Right.
And when you reflect, when you balance that with the PNM and you see, okay, you have a lot of serious people. Now, a man can be serious. Doesn't mean you might be all happy with him and so on.
Yeah.
But he's serious.
Right.
He's attending to his task in a serious manner. So he could work with somebody like that.
Right. And
then the team that is around that person, they also have to be serious. Of course, it's human organizations. I'm sure there are, if you meet 100 people, you'll find many of them who have problems with me.
Right.
Because I am human.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you ask them, how do I apply myself to my job? I think that is the most important thing. How do I apply myself to my family? How do I apply myself to my commitment? And I think that should be the measure that you ask as a country. Who you want to govern you? Do you want people who have all these problems? Or do you want a team that has been governing the country for 8 years so far, and that at least with this team, you know what you're getting?
Yeah.
With what the other team, you're not sure in any shape or form what you're going to get.
Right.
And the election was desperation because they brought everybody together and it's still 7-7.
Yeah.
And when you look at the numbers in San Fernando, even though they would jump up and say, oh, they got one more seat in San Fernando, I do numbers.
Yeah.
So when you look at the numbers, the margins in Coqueta River increased, but that is not Sando, that is Pondaco.
Yeah.
Margin in the two seats in Sando is Marbella South and Marbella West. In Marbella West, the margin remained the same because the MSJ guy just supported the UNC. That is all he did. Same guy.
Yeah.
Right? So they supported the UNC, the OWT, you know.
Right.
And the votes, the victory was 20-something votes. When you add the MSJ, the PNM won by 80 votes, and the MSJ got 100 and something last time.
Right.
So the margin didn't change.
Yeah.
In Marbella West. Marbella South, Marcus would have won it by over 100 votes. This time he lost by 11.
Yes.
So what that means is, from a UNC perspective, the UNC won by over 100. This time they only won by 11.
Right.
So their margin declined by 100. The UNC didn't make any more ground in San Fernando.
Right.
So in fact, San Fernando West is not only unchanged, it is actually stronger for the PNM. When you look at margins.
Right.
So they don't look at seat because the margins are what you check. Because they had to reconstitute San Fernando West.
Right.
And then you consider the fact that is a general election. So they would not overlook the issues that they have with the candidates that the UNC is offering.
Right.
They'll overlook it in the local. Because there are several issues, but I wouldn't go into that here.
Right.
As I say, I have to walk the road in this country.
Yes.
And I don't have security.
Right.
Escort. So when you look at it from that perspective, Sando hasn't changed. The PNM actually has made inroads in Moruga. So let's look at the marginal seats. La Oqueta, El Paro, the PNM improved.
Right.
Strongly. Right? So that's it dead for the UNC. Toko, there wasn't much change because even though the UNC won the Valencia seat, that seat was always close.
Yeah.
Grandy notice was always close. PNM won there, UNC won San August. You see that besides Toko is the Toko area.
Right.
North Coast, Maturata, Matlot. So, and that is strongly PNM. So nothing has happened in Toko, and Toko is as marginal as maybe after Toko is Point 14 and Dego Martin.
Right.
Northeast. So there's no, the least marginal then would be the Tinapuna, the St. Joseph, the San Fernando, the Moruga. And in terms of on the government's side, nothing changed in Sando. As I told you, the PNM made progress in Moruga. If not for the recount, they would have had one seat there.
Yeah.
And brought Moruga down on the coast closer. So Moruga is a seat that is in the balance. And Tinapuna, I really can't see Tinapuna changing.
Yeah.
So the only seat that is really a battleground remains in St. Joseph. But St. Joseph is always like that.
Right.
You only know who wins after the votes.
Yeah, but when the prospect looks like Anil Roberts is the person they want to put there because he has been working in that seat.
As I say, I have to walk the road in Trinidad. So I try to be already. They already had a whole Monday night forum on me.
Well, don't worry. Folks, Tahaka will be back. I give you that assurance as soon as I get back from my vacation. But as we close, you didn't get no 500,000 check from no hardware owner.
Well, my mechanic will be very upset if I got a $500,000 check and I can't fix my car.
Yeah. So, folks, we are out of time, but not out of things to say. And I trust that you would have enjoyed this evening's program as much as I did. So it was very elucidating, both from the perspective of the politics and the economic side. And certainly I would want Tahaka to come back so we could explore that a little more. Right? So thank you so much for joining us this evening. Always a pleasure to be with you. We're just working on the little fine details for the next week or so when I'm out. But I'm sure that the folks who will be holding on for me would be able to present as very good a product as we are accustomed providing you with. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great holiday tomorrow. Happy Independence, Trinidad and Tobago. And we will chat in the next 2 weeks. So thank you so much. And I am out.
People only talking, but they really don't know what's the proper meaning for Trinidad and Tobago. Cipriani start the ball rolling, now the doctor doing the bowling, so that we help Uncle Eric to perform a real hat trick, because this is your land, just as well as my land. This is your place, and also it's my place. So let we put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we'll live independently. Of August, the year 1962, will go down in history for every one of you. Forget racialism and nationalism. Let discipline, production, and tolerance guide us to independence, because this is your land, just as well as my land. This is your place, and also it's my place. So let we put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we live independently.